I'm not sure where to begin with this one. Since my last post, the haunting has intensified in ways I didn't think were possible. It's not just the boy anymore. It's the house, the air, the space around me. Everything just feels so wrong. Something dark is closing in, suffocating me, and I can do nothing to stop it. I should have known things were going to escalate. After the conversation with the boy, when he told me that woman was here, I couldn't shake the feeling that whatever was haunting him had fully rooted itself here. But I didn't expect it to manifest the way it did. I didn't expect it to start unraveling everything around me. Let me try to explain, though I'm not sure if I can do it justice. It's all so surreal, and putting it into words makes me feel like I'm reliving it again. The first thing that happened after my last post was the cold. I noticed it the very next day. It wasn't just a chilly breeze or a draft from an open window. It was bone deep, like the temperature had dropped by 20 degrees inside the house. I turned up the heat, but it didn't make a difference. No matter how warm I tried to make it, the cold stayed. It followed me from room to room, and the worst part was, it was concentrated around the boy. I'd find him sitting in the living room, his breath visible in the freezing air, but he wouldn't seem to notice. It was like the cold didn't bother him at all, like he was completely numb to it. But for me, it was unbearable. I had to wear layers just to stay warm inside my own house, and even then, I couldn't shake the chill that had settled into my bones. And it wasn't just the temperature that was out of whack. Things started moving like in Poltergeist. At first, it was small stuff. Things I could brush off as absent-mindedness. A cup was left on the counter when I swore I'd put it in the sink. A book that had fallen off the shelf. Little things like that. But then it escalated. One night, I woke up to the sound of something crashing downstairs. It was loud. It sounded like furniture being overturned, and it jolted me out of bed. My heart was racing as I grabbed a flashlight and crept downstairs, half expecting to find an intruder. But when I got to the living room, it was empty. The furniture was intact, nothing seemed out of place. But the air was heavy, like it had been disturbed by something that wasn't there anymore. Then I heard it. That eerie whisper. It was faint, barely audible, but I could feel it more than I could hear it. It was coming from the corner of the room, the same corner where I'd found the boy huddled during those first few nights. But this time, it wasn't him. It was something else. I shone the flashlight into the corner, but there was nothing there. Just uneasy darkness. I called out for the boy, thinking maybe he was sleepwalking again. But when I checked his room, he was sound asleep in his bed, peacefully and unbothered, like nothing had happened. That night, I didn't sleep. I couldn't. I sat in the living room, watching the shadows on the walls, waiting for something, anything, to happen again. But the rest of the night passed in silence, and I was left with nothing but my own thoughts. The next day, things got even stranger. I had mentioned that the boy had been distant ever since he arrived here, but boy did that escalate. Before, he would at least utter a few sentences or let me know when he was hungry or wanted to watch TV. Now, he doesn't want to talk, period. He doesn't want to play, doesn't want to eat, or do anything except sit in his room, staring at the walls. I tried to engage with him, tried to get him to open up, but he just stared at me with those big, empty eyes. And then there was the cat, Ziggy. I haven't mentioned him much in these posts, but he's always been a constant in the house. Usually he's aloof, keeping to himself and only coming around when he wants food or attention. But lately he's also been acting strange. Well, stranger than a cat normally would anyway. He won't go near the boy. In fact, he avoids him like the plague. Anytime the boy gets too close, Ziggy hisses, his fur standing on end, and bolts to another room. It's like he can sense something that I can't. And that's not the worst part. I found Ziggy in the basement 2 nights ago. He was dead, There were no signs of injury, no explanation for what had happened. He was just lying there, cold and stiff, like something had drained the life out of him. I don't know how long he had been down there, but the sight of him sent a wave of nausea through me. I buried him in the backyard, but even now, I can't shake the feeling that it wasn't natural. I know in the pit of my stomach that she, that unwelcomed woman, had done it. It's like she's trying to strip away everything that brings comfort, everything that makes this place feel like home. After Ziggy, things escalated quickly. The cold got worse. It started to creep into every corner of the house, and no amount of heat could fight it off. It was like the house itself was rejecting warmth, like it was being swallowed by something dark and unrelenting. The noises became constant. Footsteps, the whispering, the sound of furniture being dragged across the floor. Things I couldn't explain, things that happened when I wasn't looking. I'd leave a room and come back to find chairs moved, pictures on the wall tilted at odd angles, lights flickering on and off. It was relentless, and it was driving me mad. But the worst was the boy. All emotion was gone. His eyes were vacant, like he was not really there anymore. I've tried talking to him, asking him if he's okay, but all he ever said was, "She's here." I don't know who she is. I don't know what she wants. But I can feel her, hovering over us, watching, waiting for something. And I'm scared. Scared that whatever she's here for, it's getting closer. Yesterday, I caught him standing in the middle of the living room, staring at the corner again. That same damn corner. But this time, he was talking to it, whispering. I couldn't make out what he was saying at first, but as I got closer, I heard him. He was talking to her. His voice was soft, almost like he was having a conversation with someone only he could see. I called out to him, trying to snap him out of it, but he didn't respond. He just kept whispering, his eyes wide, locked on that dark corner. And then, without warning, he turned to me. His eyes, they weren't his. They were black, like the last time in the basement. Empty, soulless. His voice, now hollow, echoed the following. "She's not leaving here." I froze. I didn't know what to do, what to say. I just stood there, my heart racing, my mind screaming at me to run, but my legs wouldn't move. He continued chanting those words as his soulless gaze pierced me. Then, just as quickly as it had started, it stopped. His eyes returned to normal, and he blinked at me, confused. This was followed by his usual request for food. I didn't know how to respond. I just nodded, trying to keep my composure, and made him dinner. But the whole time, I couldn't stop thinking about what he'd said. I don't know how to fight something I can't see. I don't know how to protect him from whatever this is. And I don't know how much longer I can stay in this house. The nights are the worst. The cold is unbearable, and the noises are constant. I've tried staying awake, tried keeping the lights on, but it doesn't matter. She's here, and she's not going anywhere. I can feel her getting stronger. Every day, every night, she's taking more. The boy, he's slipping away, and I don't know how to bring him back. I've tried looking for help, but I don't even know where to start. The orphanage doesn't have any more answers, and I can't exactly call in a paranormal expert without sounding like a lunatic. I'm trapped, and I don't know what to do. I keep thinking about what you all said in the comments. Some of you mentioned that this might be a possession, that the boy could be a vessel for something darker. I didn't want to believe it at first, but now, I'm not so sure. Whatever this is, it's not going away. It's not going to stop. I don't know how much longer I can take this. The boy is slipping away, and I'm afraid I'm next. Signing off. For more chilling stories, like and subscribe.